I don't believe all of you know, really, that I'm Oscar of Lonzo and Oscar. I don't believe it. Have y'all got my equipment back there? Yeah. I'm going to prove to you that I'm Oscar of Lonzo and Oscar, see? I'm talking in this tone, but now, thank you. I'll put it on my arm. You're a good man. Lonzo and Oscar was taken as a kind of a old country boy. I was a nut. I didn't have no sense at all, hardly, but Lonzo had a lot of good talking sense. Lonzo would play, he would play it up good, real good, and I'd make a joke out of it. And so that's the way we went through the years, and everybody enjoyed it a whole lot. And that is the secret to comedy, broken chain of thought. Like if Lonzo was here, he would introduce me. And he would say, "Hey, Oscar, you looking good. You look like $1 million. And I said, "What are you talking about? You've never seen $1 million. He said, "That's what I'm talking about. I look like something I ain't never seen before." Oh, Lonzo, yeah. All right. Now, I'm going to dress right in front of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't tell what's on the back. You're pretty too, Lonzo. Oh, dog, I'm telling you, we just having a good time here this afternoon. And I've done eat with 4 or 5 people, and we've just had a good time here. I'm really proud that we got invited. And I hope they do it again next year, and the next year, and the next year. I hope I'm here when it happens there. All righty. The Grand Ole Opry, well, let me do this first. I want to do this first. I want to sing to you, "I'm my own grandpa," and let you follow me on it to show you why it sold all them records in those different countries. All right, here we go. And here it is, "I'm my own grandpa." I think maybe I ought to do a little rock and roll before I do that. Yeah, I can do it. Sometimes I can't get the hips in gear. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, be acting all the time. Woo! You ain't nothing but a hound dog, yakking all the time. You ain't never caught a rabbit, and you ain't no friend of mine. That's I love old Elvis. He didn't get very far on the Grand Ole Opry. He tried to get on. He didn't get very far. All right, now, here is the song, "I'm my own grandpa." Lower the bar just a little bit now. All right. Now, y'all smile. Get the tobacco out of my teeth. Now, many years ago when I was 23, I was married to a widow who was pretty as could be. This widow had a grown-up daughter who had hair of red. My father fell in love with her, and soon they two were wed. This made my dad my son-in-law and changed my very life. My daughter was my mother 'cause she was my father's wife. To complicate the matter, even though it brought me joy, I soon became the father of a bouncing baby boy. This little baby then became a mother-in-law to Dad, and so became my uncle, though it made me very sad. For if he was my uncle, then that also made him brother of the widow's grown-up daughter, who of course was my stepmother. I'm my own grandpa. I'm my own grandpa. It sounds funny, I know, but it really is so. Oh, I'm my own grandpa. Well, now, Father's wife then had a son who kept them on the run, and he became my grandchild, for he was my daughter's son. My wife is now my mother's mother, and it makes me blue, because although she is my wife, she's my grandmother too. Now, if my wife is my grandmother, then I'm her grandchild. And every time I think of it, it nearly drives me wild. For now I have become the strangest case you ever saw. As husband of my grandmother, I am my own grandpa. Well, I'm my own grandpa. Hey, hey, thank you. Then we had the hole in the bottom of the sea. How many of you can follow me on the hole in the bottom of the sea? All right, here we go. Whew. Don't scratch where it itches. Now, there's a hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a hole, there's a hole, there's a hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a log in the hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a log in the hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a hole, there's a hole, there's a hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a knot. Kill him. Oh, I'm shooting at flies. Yeah. There's a knot on a log in the hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a knot on a log in the hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a hole, there's a hole, there's a hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a frog on a knot on a log in the hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a frog on a knot on a log in the hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a hole, there's a hole, there's a hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a wart on a frog on a knot on a log in a hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a wart on a frog on a knot on a log in a hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a hole, there's a hole, there's a hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a germ on a chicken on a flea on a hair on a wart on a frog on a knot on a log in a hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a germ on a chicken on a flea on a hair on a wart on a frog on a knot on a log in a hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a hole, there's a hole, there's a hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a danger on a germ, on a chicken, on a flea, on a hair, on a wart, on a frog, on a knot, on a log in the hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a danger on a germ, on a chicken, on a flea, on a hair, on a wart, on a frog, on a knot, on a log in the hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a hole, there's a hole, there's a hole in the bottom of the sea. Oh, hey, oh, oh, hey.